Alright, hello guys, what is up here today? This is Coldrome 5 back with another video here. And yes, we return to Train Terms. What am I doing? Train Terms Talk Show. Yes, we are back with episode 6 here, as you can see. So today, on Train Terms Talk Shows, instead of talking about locomotives, today we're going to talk about something else. Locomotive rosters and defect detectors. And for those of you if you do not know what a locomotive roster or defect detector is, this is the right video for you, because I got all the information that you will need to know if you ever want to know what a defect detector or a locomotive roster is. So anyway, everyone, let's get started. So anyway, anyone, what exactly is a locomotive roster? Well, as you can see here from the results popping up, so right here, you can look up locomotive rosters on an app called trains.com or Trains Magazine, or whatever you want to call it. It can be called either that way. So like, for example, Union Pacific locomotive roster. Right here, this is the thing that are going to get popped up. So anyway, look. As you can see, this is what a roster looks like. Now. Yeah. There's a BNSF coal train interrupting my video. Yep, I live by tracks, actually. I live next to the Beardstown subdivision, owned by BNSF, formerly owned by Burlington Northern. That is a K5LLA horn. But anyway, when you zoom in on it, okay, this is the roster. Okay, so first it's going to show what the initial is, and then if you go to the right, you're going to get where the number series. The number series starts on the first number, and then it goes down and down and down. Yes, numbers can have letters as well. Yeah, anyway, that's all that happens. So what it shows on a roster is your initial, is the initial of the railway, the number, and what type of locomotive it is. And then the builder who built this, like the company who built that. And then you got yourself the date that it was built in. This is what you see on a locomotive roster. This is exactly what it tells you. Alright, let's go down more. Let's say you're wanting to find SD70ACE on here. If you want to find a UPSC70ACE, you gotta scroll down. And the SD70ACE start in the 8000 series. There goes BNSF again. If you listen close enough. But anyway, once you get to the 8000 series, you're going to start off at a C45AH locomotive. Then it's going to go down to the SD9043AC locomotives. And then from 8309 to 8823 are SD70ACEs. And 8824 to 8996 are SD70AH. Yes, there's a difference between those two locomotives. And I will, and yeah, so that's about it. Yeah, we will talk about these kinds of locomotives later. But anyway, a locomotive roster will show, like I said, it will show the initial, the number series that the locomotive type is in. Then it shows the locomotive type. Then the company who built it, and then the date that the locomotive was built in. That's basically all that it shows on a roster. That's all you need to know on a roster. It'll show your initial, number series, what type of locomotive it is, who built it, and what year was it built. That's exactly what is on here. That's exactly what it shows, as you can see. The rosters will be easy to learn from once you know which locomotives are in what series of numbers. Like you know, for example, the NS Tier 4 ET44AC locomotives, those are in the 3000 series. They go from 3600 all the way to 30, yeah, I think it is around 36 something, and then it ends at around later, I don't know, I'll have to look it up. sometime. But anyway, yeah, that is what it shows on a locomotive roster. So now you know. So now you know a locomotive roster. There's also other types of locomotives too. Maybe an SC70AH, but there's Tier 4 locomotives. Yes, Tier 4 locomotives. It may be the same kind of locomotive, but if it's a Tier 4, the number series could possibly be different. Like 8997 to 9061 is the SC70AH, but that's for Tier 4 locomotives, for Tier 4 credit units. Now for a regular SC70AH, 8824 to 8996. There is a difference between them. The number series could vary. The top one is for a regular SC70AH, but for the Tier 4, it's different. So yeah, that can vary sometimes. But yeah, anyway, that is all for oh, sorry. But yeah, anyway, that is all for a locomotive roster. That's basically what is on a locomotive roster. So now that we've got that over today, and now that you know about locomotive rosters and stuff and like what they show, we're gonna move on to a defect detector. So now, anyway, all right. Now that we know about locomotive rosters, what exactly is a defect detector? Sorry, guys. Okay. A defect detector. Now, anyway. Oh, sorry, I forgot to zoom out. I'm stupid. Okay. This is a defect detector. I will read it out loud. A defect detector is a device used on railroads to detect axle and signal problems in passing trains. The detectors are normally integrated into the tracks and often include sensors to detect several kinds of problems that could occur, you know, like broken track or a bad wheel on a freight train or something, you know. But yeah, anyway, so today I'm going to show you, but you know what a defect detector is, but what exactly do you hear on a defect detector? Anyway, here as you can see, we are about to find out. There are different railroads, and their defect detectors may sound differently. They may have different things. Alright, so anyway, we're about to hear Norfolk Southern detector. What you basically hear in a detector is, you hear the name of the railroad, and then they say, and then after that they'll say what milepost the train is at. And then they will see, and then if there are no effects, the defect detector will basically be like, no defects. And that's all for a Norfolk Southern detector. Simple and simple. Canadian National's defect detector has a lot more things. So anyway, this is a Norfolk Southern defect detector.
Norfolk Southern milepost 253.1. Track 1, no defects.
And yes, that is a defect detector right there. Oh, and a quick heads up. If there are multiple tracks, then there will be, like say if there are 2 tracks, there will be 2 defect detectors set there. They will say either track 1 or track 2 on the detector, just like you heard on this one. If they say track 1 or track 2, that means like the train is on track 1 or track 2. It all just depends what track it is on. Yeah, that is something that you will hear. You will hear that on all railroads if there is a detector on multiple tracks. You will hear a track 1 or track 2, but if you don't hear that, then that means there is only one train track that the train is on. So now, okay, so now we're going to hear a CSX detector next. Alright, this is what a CSX detector sounds like.
Detector milepost 177.4. Track 1, no defects. No defects. Total axle 224. Speed 5.9er. End of transmission. Equipment defect detector.
Okay, so as you can see, the CSX detector sounds a little different. So they say what milepost that the train is at. After that, they say no defects, but after that, they repeat it. They repeat it again. They say it again. After that, and this time, the defect detector calculates the speed of the train, and it indicates how many axles there are. And sometimes you'll hear like end of transmission. Yeah, you will hear that on CSX detectors only. But anyway, yeah, the CSX detector indicates a little bit more than a Norfolk Southern detector. But anyway, that's what they indicate. They basically indicate what milepost the train is at, what track it's on, how fast it's going, and how many axles they have. And yeah, and that's about it. There's just a few other things added on. An NS defect detector is basically showing some, but a CSX detector will indicate a little bit more about the train. But now anyway, let's go on to a Canadian national defect detector. Alright, what you're about to hear is a CN defect detector. This is what a CN defect detector looks like.
CN detector, mile 131.2, northbound. No defects. Temperature 21F. Total axles 580.
Dang!
Detector out.
That is a lot of axles. Alright, what you're about to hear in the following is what a BNSF detector sounds like. Come on. Thank you.
BNSF detector, milepost 71.3. No defects. Repeat, no defects. Total axle 382 out. BNSF.
Alright, so that was a BNSF defect detector right there, as you can see. So anyway, the BNSF defect detector, it's kind of like the CSX. If there's like a track 1 and a track 2, they'll say if it's on track 1 or track 2, but basically, a BNSF defect detector does not show what direction the train is going, like CN does. They will show what milepost it's at. Every single defect detector will always show what milepost it's at. Remember that. After that, it will say no defects, and it will repeat if there are no defects. Or if there is a defect. And then it will indicate the total axle on the train. And then after that, they say detector out. That's all they classify. It's a little bit longer than an NS detector, but yeah, it's kind of easy to understand. And now, next up, we are going to hear a Union Pacific detector and a couple more, and we will be done for the day. Alright, what you are about to hear now is a Union Pacific defect detector. Honestly, one of the railroads I hate the most. I just hate Union Pacific for some reason. Because every time I go rail fanning on the UP, I get the same old UP junk, and it just annoyed me, so I kind of hate Union Pacific. However, though, I do like their heritage locomotives, like the Big Boy, for example, so I kind of like and hate them at the same time, but yeah. Well, here is a UP detector, one of the railroads I hate the most. I also hate Norfolk Southern, too. Alright, here we go.
UP detector, milepost 128.6. Integrity failure. UP detector, milepost 128.6. Integrity failure. Detector out.
Alright, that was a UP defect detector that actually had a defect in it. And it says that it has an integrity failure. Anyway, Union Pacific does not classify much. It does classify the train, and it classifies like the milepost that the train is at. And then it also classifies how many axles there are. And yeah, that's about it. It just shows how many axles there are. They show what temperature it is, and and what milepost the train is at. Yeah. And then if there is no defect detector, they'll just be like, no defects. Yeah, just basically like every other detector. However, though, there is something different from this one. I only played the defect detector one time. However, though, they'll say, like when a train goes by the defect detector will repeat itself twice. So like when it says what milepost it's at, how many axles there are and what temperature it is, they'll do that one more time. It repeats itself. Some defect detectors will do the same thing. Like at first, when there's a train going through the detector, it'll just say, like for example, a CN detector, it'll just be like, CN detector milepost 258.7 northbound, no defects. After that, the train goes through, and then when it is done, like when it passes, like when the end of the train passes the detector will repeat itself again, but this time showing what temperature it is, how fast it's going, and yeah, it's basically it. It will sometimes repeat when the end of the train crosses the detector. Some detectors will do, I think all detectors actually do that, but anyway, that was a UP defect detector. Now we're going to see if we can hear a Canadian Pacific defect detector, which I myself have never heard a Canadian Pacific defect detector because I do not live close to a Canadian Pacific line at all. Okay, after hearing a CP detector for the first time in my whole life, I realize it's quite different. Yeah, I actually kind of like it. Alright, anyway, this is what a Canadian Pacific defect detector sounds like.
CP detector, mile 17.1, Mason City, 63 degrees, axle 400, no alarms, length 5888, mile 17.1 out.
Alright. I actually quite like the CP defect detector. I think it's unique and different anyway. So it starts off by saying like CP defect detector as usual, and then after that it classifies what subdivision the train is on, which I've never heard of that before, but yeah. And you know, like it depends, like if it's on the Canadian Pacific Mason City sub, then it'll say CP defect detector milepost, and then it'll say what milepost it's at, and then it's going to say Mason City. That's the name of the subdivision. It's also going to classify how many axles there are on the train. And then it does not show what speed it goes, and instead of saying no defects, it says no alarms. Which is different, but I like it. It's cool. It is pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, those are defect. You just learned about a locomotive roster, and those are defect detectors from different Class 1 railroads. I'm not sure if I'm going to do more Class 1 railroads or not. Like, I'm not really sure, because like you basically know everything that they say on a defect detector. So we might just come to an end right here. Anyway, guys, like and subscribe and turn on notifications if you do not want to miss a single cool upload here. Anyways, I'm Cold Drummer 05 signing out from Train Terms Talk Show. It was learned about a locomotive roster and a defect detector. Next, we will be talking about we might be talking about the Universal Series next, and we also still have to do the Dash 9, the Super Duty, the Multi-Purpose, General Purpose, and Alternating Current Traction Series, and rebuilt locomotives, and a bunch of other stuff, and I will see you all guys later. Alright, goodbye everyone.